All right, folks, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is advising members of the public that the risk of being infected with diseases such as leptospirosis increases after the passage of heavy rainfall. With us this morning is Ministry of Health and Wellness's Veterinary Public Health Director of Policy Programs, Dr. Sydonnie Gyles. Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
Can't complain.
Giving thanks.
Family and everybody all right?
So far, yes. Thanks for asking.
What is leptospirosis, please?
All right. So leptospirosis is an infectious disease that's caused by bacteria. You know, historically, when we talk about leptospirosis, a lot of people think about rats.
Yes.
And so on. So quite rightly so, rats are the main reservoirs for this disease. But in our neck of the woods in the Caribbean region, we also think about other hosts like mongoose and even other livestock animals and pets. All right, we're having this discussion now about leptospirosis because of the recent heavy rainfalls that we've had. And we know that the risk of getting diseases like leptospirosis becomes greater after these heavy rains and flooding and so on.
Why is that so? Is it because the rodents will migrate to inside of the homes because of the water levels? Why is it increased?
All right, so people get infected with leptospirosis by coming in contact with soil or water that has been contaminated with the urine of an infected animal. So once we have these great showers and, you know, the soil gets washed out and stagnant waters where animals may have urinated, you know, now become even higher risks because of the heavy rains and flooding and so on.
You said earlier that it happens because of heavy rains and flooding.
Right, primarily.
Does that mean that all the time that we have heavy rains and flooding, leptospirosis jump up?
It becomes a risk. It
becomes a risk, or does it happen?
It's likely to happen.
You still don't tell me whether it happens.
It happens.
So over the years, you've noticed that.
Right.
I don't want to ask what kind of percentage, but is it prevalent after?
It is. So what we found is that the risk of leptospirosis becomes more likely once we go into the Atlantic hurricane season. And we know that the season starts from the 1st of June to the 30th of November. So if we're checking it in terms of calendar weeks, we're talking about weeks 24 to 48. And we're currently in week 28. So we're in prime season.
Middle.
Right. I also want to mention, I'm happy that you ask, leptospirosis is almost always here. It happens throughout the year. But it becomes more likely to happen once we have these great showers of rain.
And whereas I understand soil and water, how in the world are rat going to give it to me? Or a mongoose?
All right, because we know that they come in, well, they infect, the urine of these infected animals are in soil and water.
Okay.
After heavy rains, you may have people wading in flood rains. You may find in some communities they practice rainwater harvesting. So perhaps they're channeling, guttering waters from the roof of the house into a catchment area where rats may have passed. And so it's likely that that water may have come in contact with the urine of rats.
What are some of the symptoms that I may experience, Doc?
All right, so you may find that it may be asymptomatic, so you may not have any symptoms at all. But it usually starts off with flu-like symptoms. Then you may find that you have a fever, you have abdominal pains, abdominal cramps, you have muscle aches, joint aches. You may even notice that there's a rash on the skin. It's also likely that you may see eyes initially become red, and thereafter they become yellow. The skin also can become yellow.
Can you die from it?
Yes, if these symptoms are not resolved, so if you don't get treatment, it's likely that the disease will now escalate into a more severe form of the disease where organs fail. So like your liver can fail, your kidneys can fail, you'll have difficulty breathing, the risk of meningitis, and ultimately death is likely.
Can it be treated, and at what stage?
It can be treated. I mean, it is caused by bacteria, so there are antibiotics that are known to treat leptospirosis, and this is why the Ministry of Health is being proactive in saying, you know, once you come down with these symptoms, once you notice any of these symptoms, please go to your healthcare providers and seek medical attention, because this is a disease that can be controlled.
I was in the garden yesterday because my plants, them And I was trying to figure out how to get them back up. And as I was about to touch the gift, I said, "Wait, Ministry of Health, sir, must put on with gloves."
That's correct.
What are some of the strategies that you would share with our viewers to try to prevent, getting leptospirosis?
So we say to you, avoid contact with water or soil that may have been contaminated with the urine of an infected animal. So if you're doing backyard gardening, we recommend that you wear your gloves. And I'd also like to say that there are some occupations that are most at risk. So we think about our veterinarians, our vet techs, our animal health technicians. These are they that come in contact with infected animals. Or people who retrieve our garbage, right? So the NSWMA workers, they're also at risk. We think about people who work in slaughterhouses, abattoirs, or goodly public health inspectors. They are also at risk. People who work in cane fields, and so we recommend that you, be aware that these risks may obtain.
Yeah. You have explained everything beautifully, and I understand everything you have said. But how in the world would I know that I'm in contact with the urine of an infected animal? I'm a football coach, and I'm on the field with the boys almost every day, especially now. Sometimes the grass is wet and stuff like that. So how would I know? So, well, it don't make sense, I go out there, because something might happen. How would I know that?
And I mean, it's likely that you will not know. So you just need to take extra precaution. Because it's not, you may smell the urine because sometimes it's quite pungent, but it's likely that you will not know. But in times like these where we're having these exponential, bouts of heavy rain and flooding, we're just encouraging Jamaicans to take caution.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So the Ministry of Health is saying avoid wading in flood waters, right? Wherever you see that there is stagnant water, where animals may have urinated, avoid those altogether. If you're in your house and perhaps you see that food has been, it has been bitten by a rat, or you're seeing evidence of rat urine or droppings, then we encourage that you discard those foods. You don't consume those foods. And as I said about the rainwater harvesting, once you're doing any catchment of water, then we really recommend that that water is boiled prior to being used.
You've already spoken about the prevalence of leptospirosis.
Yes.
What about the prevalence of death because of leptospirosis? Is that something that happens every year also, or no?
It does happen. It does happen.
Oh.
Right? It's quite a serious disease. And, I'm so happy that we're having this discussion because Jamaicans tend to be very relaxed when they start having symptoms of diseases. They like to watch diseases. I'm watching it. This is not something you want to watch. Once you start having any of these symptoms, go see your doctors. Because as Dela rightly asked, it's something that can be treated.
I think we wait. I don't know if we watch disease, but I think we wait because we don't know is what. And instead of go check it out, we say, I'll watch it like a bit more and see.
We self-diagnose and try self-cure.
You see a little rush and you say, we rub something on it and make we watch it. And tomorrow I rub a little more. But I understand what you're saying.
It's quite serious.
I know that you've said, the cycle, animal to human. But if I'm in a home, is there a likelihood that I could also infect someone in the home, or just that they may be exposed to the same things that I have been?
All right, so I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's extremely rare for humans to pass it on to another human.
Okay.
So the main way that people get leptospirosis is by coming in contact, sorry about that, by coming in contact with urine of an infected animal.
So if all of us in the home is exposed to it, that's probably the, okay.
Right.
And this to have nothing to do with man, woman, boy, or girl?
No.
This is just...
Well, what we've seen historically is that men are more at risk.
Men?
Men are twice more likely to get leptospirosis than women.
Why?
It's likened to behavior, as well as some of the occupations that we would have mentioned. Those are primarily male-dominated
and you're talking
areas.
about men, you're not talking about little boys here or anything like that? Or you're talking about
males overall.
Just males overall.
Because males are more likely to be wading in flood waters and more likely to be engaged in some of these agricultural activities and so on. And so they are more at risk than women.
So you said they're brighter than me.
I did not say that.
She didn't say it, but your assumption may not be far off.
But it's a very serious thing, even though we made light of that, but it is a very serious thing. Thank you so very much. Beautifully explained.
Thank you so
much. I think we all know what's going on now. Ministry of Health and Wellness is Veterinary Public Health Director of Policy Programs, Dr. Sydonnie Gyles. 10 minutes to your health. We'll do it again
next Thursday.
There you go.